Rise and shine. So glad that you could stop by today. I have a maker. He formed my heart even before time began. Wow. Think about that. He knew us even before he formed us. I want to delve a little bit into Jesus' command to love others. He's talking to the Pharisees in Matthew chapter 22, verses 37 through 40. Matthew 22, verses 37 through 40. And actually, verse 36, the Pharisee says, "Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law?" And of course, they're talking about the Jewish law of obeying the laws of the Sabbath, having nothing to do with salvation. And Jesus said to him, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the great and foremost commandment. The second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments depend the whole law and the prophets." I started thinking about the second is like this. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. I started thinking about that word neighbor. We've all had that neighbor, that neighbor, where we maybe tried to sneak into the house without them seeing us, or sneaking out of the house and not being held up by that neighbor. But is that not what Christ is telling us to do? that we are to love your neighbor as yourself. Then I started thinking about the word neighbor in a different sense. What does the word neighbor mean? Is it that person who lives directly beside us? Or does neighbor mean those people that are living in the community right near us? What does the word neighbor mean? So I looked it up in Webster's dictionary. One of the definitions, and I believe that this is what Jesus was talking about. One of the definitions is fellow man. Your neighbor is your fellow man. So we are to love our fellow man as we love ourselves. The second is like this: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Think about how we treat other people. Would we indeed want to be treated that way? There's some days I think back as to how I might have treated someone, and it makes me shameful. Something that needs to be forgiven. There's been many a day that I've had to ask forgiveness for the way that I have treated people. Does not the person driving in the car next to us, does that person not qualify as a neighbor under those circumstances? So back in 2015, I don't know that anyone really knows, up here in Pennsylvania anyway, that when we lived in New Bern, North Carolina, I was the director of a homeless shelter. And during that time of working with the homeless, God really opened my eyes. And I ended up writing an article that actually has had quite a bit of impact. I'm just going to show you. I want you to see the eyes there. And the name of the article is, as you probably saw, Look Into Their Eyes. When you see someone at an intersection holding a cardboard sign, what's your first reaction? Do you lock your car doors and roll up your windows? Do you think, there's another bum, why don't they do something about those kind of people standing here with a sign? I'd like to challenge you. The next time you see someone holding up a sign, look past it. Yes, that's right. Look past the sign and instead look at the person holding the sign. Scary thought? Do it anyway. It's the only way you will realize that behind that sign is somebody's son, somebody's father, somebody's mother or sister. Want to try something really scary? Look into their eyes. It's okay. You can do it. Look directly into their eyes. It's only then that you will realize that behind the sign is a real person. That person doesn't want to be living on the street any more than you want to see them standing there. Nothing will change until we realize that behind each cardboard sign is a real, living, breathing person. Are there people out there trying to scam us out of a few bucks? Sure there are. But how can you tell the difference unless you look into their eyes? Are there people out there that are drunks and drug addicts that have caused their own homelessness? Of course there are. Don't they deserve the same support systems available to everyone else? The chance to change their lives and begin again? You won't know unless you look into their eyes. A large portion of the homeless population in our country are the very men and women who have fought for the freedoms that you and I enjoy today. Military veterans, some of which have been awarded the Bronze and Silver Stars, are begging for something to eat and a place to lay their head. They are hoping that someone will look past the only clothes they own, soiled and dirty. These forgotten veterans have earned and deserve their due respect. But you won't see the hidden warrior within unless you look into their eyes. What about the family living in their car because dad's job was downsized or went out of business? They hung on to their home as long as they could until the bank took it. They hung on to their dignity as long as they could until hunger took it. Now they are hanging on to each other. The only thing they have left is hope, but you won't know that unless you look into their eyes. Christ tells us in Matthew 25:35 through 40, that as we provide food, drink, shelter, and clothes to those who are in need, that we are providing those same needs to Him. Well, how can that be? Christ loves us all unconditionally. He gives no regard to financial or civic status. He loves the broken and downtrodden just as much as He loves those with good health and are without need. We are the ones who have created different statuses within our own society. We are the ones who have decided whom we should help and whom we should leave to their own accord. If Christ loves us equally by looking into our hearts, why then shouldn't we treat each other equally and begin by looking into their eyes? It is not our responsibility to determine who is the scammer or the cheat behind the cardboard sign. That is between them and God. What God asks us to do is to look beyond the cardboard sign, beyond the dirty clothes and dirty face. You won't be able to do as Jesus commanded unless you look into their eyes. The same Maker that created us created them. We are all on the same level at the cross. I pray today that you will find someone, perhaps not holding a cardboard sign, but standing there in need. And I pray that God will give you the courage to look into their eyes to see that person. Pray for the person. Do as God commands and love your neighbor as yourself. Have a great day. I'll see you next time on Rise and Shine. Bye-bye.